Argestes Chatterbox Reviews, coming at you guys with my review for Succession Season 2, Episode 6. Alright, so just want to start off, apologize for this being a little bit late. Today is Friday, so it's 2 days till the next episode comes out, but really busy this week and didn't get a chance to get this review out. I watched the episode, I think, a couple nights ago, recorded it and then gave it a watch, and now sharing my thoughts on it. So anyways, I'd love to hear your guys' thoughts on this episode, if you still remember what happened in it, right? Back last Sunday. But anyways, yeah, so what do you think of this one? How does it compare to some of the other episodes in this season so far? To me, I would say it's not the best episode so far, but the last few minutes of this one, very similar to last episode, actually. I felt like the first half of both of these episodes here were a little bit unbalanced, a little bit slow, took their time in getting into things, set up some things, right? We knew what was going to happen, but nothing really happened until the last few minutes, and the last few minutes were just so intense in this episode, once again, including that last scene, which is just, is really, just crazy. So, anyway, so that would be kind of my overall thought of this one, but yeah, I'd love to hear your guys' thoughts and predictions also as to what you see going forward here, especially with this ending to the episode. What's in store for the Roys and the company now at this point? So I'd love to hear your guys' thoughts on that one. And if you enjoy the review, please like and consider subscribing to the channel. Would really appreciate that. So let's get into a bit of a recap for the episode, and then I'll get to my rating, favorite character, and some more overall thoughts and my predictions as to kind of where I see the Roy family going and this takeover deal, everything like that. And we only have, 7, 8, 9, 10 episodes left, right? So we only have 4 episodes left, and there's a lot of stuff that needs to happen here yet with this whole takeover deal. They haven't even really gone into that yet because of this whole Pierce idea. But now if the Pierce deal is off the table, what's going to happen now with the takeover? So really looking forward to what they have in store for us there. But anyways, without any further ado, let's get into the episode here. So the Roys attend a prestigious business conference. I think it's called Argestes, right? Argestes. I think that's how they pronounce it in the episode. Kind of an odd spelling and an odd name. But anyways, so that's the business conference they head to here, where they actually have 2 panels, I guess, because Tom is doing the ATN one, which just makes for some really great comedic moments throughout the episode here. And then they also have, Kendall and Roman doing a little panel of their own. So I think the event to them, or at least, to the Roys, to Logan, is more about the people that are there, right? Just kind of showing off, letting that kind of reputation that they have precede them, if you will. I don't think they really care that much about the actual event and want to take part in the, extracurriculars and stuff like that, with the nature hikes and all that stuff where we see Tom on one. They're just there to basically swing their power and influence around on these other, influential guys. And I think that's what the whole event is really about for a lot of these guys. And so that's the kind of idea that we get, right? And also, like, the Pierce deal is the center focus right now for them at this event, and that's what they try to get done. And it turns out Nan doesn't even show up for it. She has to, show up after Ray calls her. So anyways, so here at this Argestes, right, the business owners, CEOs, and other big names gather, right, including lots of recognizable faces. We get Stewie, Sandy, Lawrence, pretty much all the big guys that we've seen so far in the series at one point or another are here at this conference. So it's a big deal, like I said, a big deal to swing that influence around and show these guys that they're not vulnerable, which a lot of people may believe they are, because of the Pierce deal, hasn't gone through yet, right? So this is all happening, of course, as I said, while the Pierce deal hasn't gone through. Of course, Logan is anxious. He says he wants it to happen yesterday. So he cannot wait for this to go through. And again, right, if this goes through at the conference, imagine the optics of that, like the look of that, where they acquire Pierce and, then the panels the next day, right? So just a big thing that could happen here, a really significant thing for the company and for Logan and the family, right? But it ends up going the exact opposite way by the end of the episode, and that's what makes this so great in this setup here, right? Because they're all excited about this new deal. I love the way that they show Kendall bragging to Stewie about it, right? It just kind of summarizes their whole cockiness, their arrogance at the beginning, and then at the end, just completely vulnerable again. So I really like that. So we see Logan leave Shiv at home to work with Frank while they go, of course, right? We've seen this condescending, behavior towards Shiv the whole time, and I still don't think she's going to get CEO anytime soon, even after this Turnhaven thing that happened last episode. So she's left at home, which also I guess you could see as punishment for what she did in Turnhaven. So you could think of it that way too. So then not even 10 minutes, like they get there, they're talking for like 5 minutes to people, and then they, so they get into this meet and greet, 10 minutes goes by, Logan gets word that a hit piece, they call it, on cruises, on the cruise line, is coming out within 48 hours from an online magazine instead of 2 weeks originally, as they thought it would be, right? So they thought they had some time. They'll get this deal done with Pierce at the conference or just a little bit after, right? Get it done before the hit piece comes out, and then they'll be fine, right? So that's the whole idea. Or at least just get Nan Pierce to sign it so that then she can't back out once the hit piece comes out, right? They don't even necessarily have to have everything in motion, everything agreed upon. They just need that signature, right? And then she can't back out. So, of course, this hit piece could threaten everything. It could threaten the entire deal with Pierce, their entire image at this conference. And so and again, the minute that they mentioned cruises, I'm like, it's the death pit, right? It's the death pit. And I love the connection here because now we see Shiv telling Tom basically about it a little bit later in the episode. And Tom's like, well, does it imply me? Like, am I in it? Am I in it? And all this stuff. So I thought that was a really great connection. And I've been waiting for this to come back. It turns out that the story isn't really about Tom or anything like that. It's about those kind of mistreatment of the employees. Maybe you could even go further in saying abuse. Anyways, it's about those stories that Tom was talking about, but it doesn't implicate Tom or anything like that. But I figured it had to come back at some point, right? With all the time they spent on it in season 1. Anyways, so the group kind of gets into a kitchen, and Logan says, get a room, and that's the best they could do. They just get a kitchen. So, anyways, they discuss their plan. What they should do against the hit piece to make it go away, and so that they can still negotiate with Pierce and try to get this deal done. So Logan ends up opting for Kendall's plan, which is kill, kill, kill. Even though Shiv suggests on the phone, they kind of bring her in on a conference call type of thing, she suggests getting them to postpone, right? Reaching out to the magazine, getting it to postpone a little bit, and go at this a little bit softer, right? Take a little bit of a laxed approach to it, try to get them to postpone a couple weeks, move it on, right, and just kind of, treat it lightly, right, and Kendall's just kill, 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 right, like threaten them, do all this stuff, and get it to go away, and Logan ends up opting for Kendall's idea, which is not surprising. I mean, that's just the way kind of Logan operates, and that's the way we've seen him operate thus far, right, so Logan offers for Shiv then to fly out and meet them because he wants to work on the optics, and again, she's great at optics, right? Like that was her job with Gil and the rest of her political career, and she refuses. So Shiv refuses to come out, and then Logan says, then why are you on the phone, Shiv? And hangs up on her. And I just thought that was a really great moment there. And meanwhile, the funny thing is that she's in this cafe bathroom because she already ditched Frank back at the company, right? And so she's refusing to go with Frank for the day, and so she's just, basically shopping or doing whatever she wants, going to this cafe, and then she's on the phone, right, with Logan. So, anyways, Logan's got a point, right? Shiv doesn't even want to show up, right? She doesn't even want to show up and help. And he's like, well, then why are you on the phone? And so, again, I think this shows very early on in the episode, Logan's kind of pressure, his, the stakes are so high for him that he just kind of lashes out at anybody in sight. And, of course, that's what we see in a big way at the end of the episode. So, anyways, so thus they move forward with the plan, and this puts even more pressure on the Pierce deal to get it done as soon as possible. because again, they want to do this before the hit piece comes out, and that could be within hours. They don't even know yet. So, all right. So then we get to. I'm going to skip a lot of that beginning stuff because there were some good scenes. Roman wanting to team up with Jerry. Tom and Shiv talking about their open relationship a little bit at the club. We got a nice scene with Greg and Tom about the we're listening thing. So anyways, some really great scenes in there, but I'm going to skip ahead to where we get to about halfway through the episode here. So as Logan and Kendall sit down for breakfast the next day with Rhea and Nan Pierce, who just flew in after Rhea told her the immediate nature of the deal. And again, the funny thing is they want to do all this stuff, they want to get the deal done, and then Nan doesn't even show up to this Argestes conference, right? And so this complicates things, but anyway, so she flies in because Rhea, I mean, from Logan, basically says the deal's not going to be done if it doesn't get done soon, right? So she comes in. So they discuss signing the deal right then and there. Kendall's already organized a room to have the signing done in, and all this stuff. So this is right after the man tells them that they have mere hours until the piece comes out. Hugo, right? So he comes in just before Nan and Rhea show up, and he's like, well, like, this is happening a lot sooner than we thought, right? Our plan did not work. The kill, kill, kill mentality did not work. And this piece is coming out within hours, maybe even minutes. And just horrible news. So they know that they must get this deal done before that. And that's why they have the signing room and all this stuff going on, right? And they really want to get this done before the hit piece comes out. Just a really awesome, scene here. Because, again, it builds that tension. You're like, okay, are they going to get this done? Are they going to get this done? And then I love it because Kendall keeps refreshing his phone, right? And so it's really building that tension and suspense of, are they going to do it? When is the piece going to come out? And all that stuff. So I really liked it. So, of course, they don't. They don't end up getting the deal done before it comes out. Nan takes her time. She orders, she gets water and all this stuff. She knows exactly what's going on. She doesn't necessarily know about the hit piece and all that, but she knows that they're just trying to force her into something here, and she's not having it, right? She's just delaying as much as she can. So she takes her time. She says she still wants to think about it, and meanwhile, Kendall's phone goes off with the piece that is now published from the magazine. So this is like the ending of everything, right? So him and Logan quickly escape the meeting. They're like, oh, we gotta go to our next meeting here, and they just get out. And you saw before, right when Hugo comes and tells them, Logan's like, okay, we're just gonna leave, right? So they actually wanted to leave before Nan got there, but she was just walking in, and so they were forced to stay there. And this is what happens now. So the piece comes out. We see Rhea even see it on her phone as well, and that's pretty much just done. So they gotta quickly get out of there. They gotta run away. And then we see the group kind of gathers in the room to read the story and figure out what's going on. And I really like the group here. We got, of course, Jerry, Hugo, I believe Jerry, right? Or sorry, did I say Jerry, Hugo, Logan, Shiv, Kendall, Roman, I think, are the ones here in the room. So anyways, so they read the story together, find out it's about Mo and others making dancers on the cruise ships, sign NDAs and offering them contracts for sex, all this type of stuff. Overall, they agree that it's not that bad of a piece because it lacks specifics and lacks details of what the things are. I mean, there's not a lot of evidence. It's really just one woman coming forward who didn't sign an NDA, I guess. And so anyway, so the really convoluted story here, but obviously a big piece. It doesn't really matter what is in it. If that headline says a certain thing, people are going to think a certain way, right? And that's just the way it goes. And so they recognize, yeah, it's not that bad, but it's still going to have a lot of repercussions on our company. And of course, the conference for the rest of for the rest of the time here, right? So Kendall wants them to acknowledge it, and this was a really interesting thing that I still don't quite get why Kendall was so forward with wanting to acknowledge it and show remorse and all this stuff. I still don't quite get where he's coming from with that. He's usually the kind of cutthroat. Just before, he wanted to kill them, right? Like, he wanted to threaten them, blackmail them, and all this stuff. And now he wants to acknowledge it and, seem sympathetic and remorseful. And so I still don't really understand that. But anyways, that's the approach he takes. So he wants them to acknowledge it. He wants to show that remorse, and all that sympathy, say that, this is a problem, right? But Logan, on the other hand, just wants to double down and condemn the piece, right? Say, well, this is nothing, right? Basically played off like it's nothing. There's not much evidence to begin with. There's not many specifics. And so that's just what they're going to do. So he wants to condemn the piece. He thinks it's more of a shot at him than the actual mishandling and abuse of the cruise staff. And because of that, he thinks, well, we're just going to condemn it, right? It's not a real story about anything. And he also says here, too, that they don't, he uses a bit more vulgar language, but they don't really care about the women who are affected by it. They just want to put this hit piece out against Logan and Waystar Royco. And I think he kind of has a point here, and obviously I think Kendall's approach is important, too, in this case. But I think Logan does have a point. That obviously, again, like I said, that headline is going to read a certain thing, and people are going to think a certain way, and that's exactly what this piece does, and does against Logan as well. And so I think he does have a point here. Do they really, really care about the women involved? Probably, right? But they probably care more about putting this hit piece out against Logan and the Roys, right? Because of their reputation. So, anyways, so thus this means that Kendall and Roman's panel the next day will be really important. So they mentioned it a little bit earlier, but here they really harp on it. It's like, okay, this panel tomorrow is going to be so important because they are going to ask the big question about, what happened here? What are your thoughts on this story, right? And so I love this here that Hugo suggests Shiv to be there and that she should talk about it because she's a woman, right? And I also love Shiv's response here. She had some really great dialogue in this episode, I will say. And I think it was, I forget who is the writer. But she's, what else has she written? Anyway, so she's written a couple other shows that I've seen. I think she's a pretty good writer. I think she just gave Shiv some really great dialogue in this one. And she's a woman writer as well. But anyways, so Shiv here refuses, right? So she just refused right away. And same thing to go along with the phone call earlier, right? She just refuses right away. And I have to say, obviously it's a bit annoying, right? And the Shiv character has been kind of annoying so far. To me, and I think just to the family and the plot overall, right? She's the one hindering things a lot of the time. But I think in this case, it's actually good for Shiv, to be honest. I mean, I think this is good for her to refuse, right? But it is bad for them, of course. It hurts them. Shiv being there is obviously helpful. And so Logan doesn't keep her in the loop. So why would she do him a favor, right? And so if you think about it that way, I really do agree with Shiv here. But another way to look at this is, well, if she does this favor, then maybe he will keep her in the loop in the future, right? So it's a tough thing to balance, and who knows with Logan, right? You can't really please him, and so she just refuses again. And obviously this doesn't make Logan very happy, but he's like, okay, that's just what it is. Roman and Kendall are doing it now. And so anyways, it's a tough decision for Shiv, but as we see, she ends up going with him anyways. So then they settle down from this talk. They walk out for the, as Logan calls it, the walk of shame. And then we hear very, very soon, they just walk out of the room. And now we heard everybody is canceling their appointments with him. And then we see Stewie rub it in Kendall's face after he told him earlier about the, massive, big, impressive deal that they were going to sign, right? And all this stuff. And then now it's just completely blown up in his face. And Stewie loves it. So I love Stewie in this episode. I thought he was really great. So, all right, so then we see Shiv then meets with Rhea after it all blows up in the Roy's collective faces, if you will. And this was a really interesting meeting because, again, we know Rhea and Shiv have that relationship, and, we've seen that in the past. And so this is a really interesting scene and dynamic here that pushes Shiv to attend the conference or to attend the panel. So Rhea tells Shiv that a certain message may get things back on course with Nan, and she encourages Shiv that she should be the one to convey that message at the panel, even though Shiv still seems reluctant about it. And she says, well, I'm not briefed, right? And Rhea's like, well, can you get briefed, right? And so she's even still reluctant about this. But I think, even Rhea's telling her, if you're not there, this deal, there's pretty much no chance that this deal can get back on track. So she puts a lot of pressure on her here, and I think Shiv recognizes that. So we then see Kendall and Roman preparing to go on stage in the back room or the green room, I guess, right? And so they're kind of, going back and forth on what they're supposed to say, stick to the 3 R's, right? So they're preparing them. And then suddenly, Shiv walks in. So, you can see this coming, but she walks in and she volunteers to go out with them into the panel. Now she's there and she wants to take part in it. So Kendall and Roman are both against it, like hard against it. They want to go out without her, right? She just refused earlier, so now she's coming back and changing her mind with 8 minutes till the panel starts. Like, no, right? Like, she's not coming out with us. And so I love this scene here, and it's also the first time that Kendall and Roman have seen eye to eye in like forever, right? Like, even it's probably dating back to season 1. They even have an argument at the beginning of this episode too. So I thought it's a really interesting scene where Roman and Kendall like team up on Shiv together here. And anyway, so I love the dynamic. And then, of course, this just makes for a great scene. So we then see all 3 kids pleading their cases to Logan, like little children, honestly. Like, they seem like little children, little adolescent children there, pleading their case to Dad, about, that they get this and they don't want Shiv to be there. And all this stuff, and so it's just a really funny, but also kind of, you see the dynamic here. It's just really well done. So, anyways, Logan just sits there silent, listening to it all, right? He just, he's just sitting there, okay, yeah, just kind of listening, feeling it out and everything. And just after a few minutes then of all this bickering and all this yelling and shouting back and forth, Logan finally, he doesn't say a word. He just holds up 3 fingers, right, as to say, okay, they're all going out there, right? Let Shiv go out there with them, and the 3 kids will handle the panel. So, crucial panel, and now Logan makes the decision to send them all out. So, we pick up at the end of Tom's talk about ATN, and again, such a great comedic shtick throughout this episode, with the "we here for you," right? So, anyways, and the most hilarious part of that scene is seeing "we here for you" on the little postcard at the very end of it that says ATN, right? Just hilarious thing here. Anyways, and so this all goes back to the sequence with Greg throughout the episode, right? As he says earlier, the "we're listening" slogan kind of backfired because they found out that they actually are listening to people through their mics, and all this stuff. And so just a really funny thing. And again, I love the way that they kind of connect this to the modern times, I guess, if you will. They really place this story in today's world, which a lot of shows, there are a lot of period pieces going on and a lot of stuff like that. So that's what makes the show kind of stand out, if you will, in this type of environment and this atmosphere here for the show. But anyway, so yeah, they're listening to people, right? So it could look kind of bad if they say "we're listening." So anyway, so Tom does well, but ultimately there's nobody there in the audience. There's like, 20 people there in the theater, and the ones who are there start laughing at him at the very end. They're like, "Oh, whatever, like, this is stupid." And then the funniest thing about this is Greg stands up and claps at the very end of his speech there, at the end of his panel. That is just so funny. So great in this one. Nicholas Braun did a great job in this one. I love the scene as well with Greg and I believe it's Edward, right? So Roman tries to talk to Edward, and then Greg comes in randomly into the bathroom, and he's like, "I'm a big fan of your money," right? And anyways, I lost it at that point. But anyway, so he stands up and he's clapping for Tom. So as he says the slogan at the end, right, he says, "We here for you." So, just sounds so awkward, right? But anyways, so he walks off the stage and hands it off to Shiv, Kendall, and Roman, who now have a full theater. I mean, this place is packing in for this panel before they even get into the talk. Basically, the whole theater is taken. Every seat is taken. This place is packed. So, of course, before they even get into talking about the actual topic of the panel and getting into their debate, the host goes right to the piece, right? And asks basically everybody, or just asks them as a group, what their thoughts are, what's their response, and all this stuff. So they knew, of course, that was going to happen. So Kendall, Roman, and Shiv all fight over stage time here, trying to one-up each other with comments on the piece and what they should do next about it. And Kendall totally breaks formation here, if you will, and goes right to the remorse. We want to acknowledge this. This is a serious thing, which Logan directly told them not to do. And so this is just turns out to be like a shit show, really, this whole panel. It really is like everyone just trying to one up each other, like insulting each other, but trying to make it funny. Just a really, like, just hard to watch scene. Like, it's just like, act professional, guys. Like, stop trying to go at one another. Like, this is, possibly the company's life on the line. We do realize after, though, there's no press even there. So it's literally just the Argestes people, the business owners and all that are listening. It's not even, no press is actually there inside. So the talk actually didn't matter that much. But anyways, so we see Kendall starts taking charge until Shiv kind of takes it from him and makes this comment about old dinosaurs, which everybody knows is about Logan. And so this is kind of where everything changes. That's kind of where we end off that scene there too. And then, of course, they go on with the rest of the panel. But she tries to reel it in a bit right after she says that comment, but the damage has been done at that point. It's almost too late once she makes that comment. But I will say, this is the exact message that Rhea told her to convey. And this is the message that would work on Nan, who is in the audience. So, yes, it is over the line as they confront her in just a few moments. I'll talk about that. But, no, like, this was the right approach to really, if you want to save the company, to put that message in Nan's mind that it's old dinosaurs, right? These were the old, old guys part of the company, and they're gone now. Like, this is the new thing that we're moving forward, right? Without these old dinosaurs. And that's exactly what Nan wanted to hear. That's what Rhea told Shiv to say. So she says it, but it ends up, of course, kind of hitting a chord with Logan and the family. And that's what we see in the aftermath. So Kendall and Roman right away confront Shiv over the dinosaur comment after they finish. It just, really like, okay, that was too far, Shiv, right? Telling her all this type of stuff, and, some of them argue over what they said. Roman also makes a really bad comment saying, like, we'll do whatever anybody wants or something like that, which is just, like, idiotic. But anyway, so Kendall kind of makes fun of him there. So then while Shiv talks to Tom about their relationship, tells him how great he did on his talk and all this stuff. So a nice little scene there between the two. How Shiv kind of wants to have Tom to herself and all this stuff. So it's kind of interesting that they are playing on that a little bit. And I'll talk about that a little bit later with Tom. But anyways, so Logan then walks in. And this is where just kind of everything stops, right? The kids are bickering at each other, whatever. Logan walks in. So Logan walks in, and Marsha's the first one to say something, and essentially tells Shiv that she crossed the line with her comment there, and Kendall and Roman back her up, right? I don't even think Logan says anything here, right? Like, it's just Marsha says, that's over the line. Kendall says, yeah, like, you crossed the line there. And then we see Roman. So Roman takes it a bit further, as Roman always does. He always does. So he tries to back it up, and he does this weird thing, calling Logan a dinosaur, just kind of going on about it a little bit too long, right? And Logan just suddenly backhand slaps him across the face. He says, don't fuck with me, right? And then he walks away. And just everything, like, it's such a little kind of scene, like, they're just talking, and we have so many of these scenes, right, that are, they're just talking, some dialogue between these characters, right? Roman's being an asshole, he's being annoying, okay, and then boom, right? Like, Logan just slaps him, and just everything kind of comes to a halt there, and just really great moment there, with that kind of immediate drama. A really great scene here. Just backhand slaps him across the face. Again, says, don't fuck with me. And this wouldn't be that big of a deal. Okay, like, Logan slaps him because he was being annoying, right? Telling him to shut up. This wouldn't be that big of a deal if it weren't for this next thing. So Kendall comes to his defense immediately comes to Roman's defense, and says, don't touch him, right? Like, don't do that, Dad, and yells at Logan in his face there. And again, this is kind of implying that this has happened before, right? And Kendall, again, like, we immediately comes to his defense there, says, don't touch him, and all this stuff. And I will say, we saw this in episode 7 last season as well. I believe it's called Austerlitz, right? And a similar thing happened, I think, where Logan tried to hit Kendall or tried to hit Roman, something like that. And Kendall came to his defense, or Shiv, or somebody like that, or Connor maybe. Anyways, one of the kids came to their defense again in that episode. And so this is something that has happened before, clearly. And again, maybe it's just a scene you play off. Okay, it's nothing really. But the fact that this happens right after it, I think is really significant. And also, they've done such a good job on this Roman character, I have to say. So, yes, Logan flew off the hinges here, right? Not sure if he's that, if this is more about Shiv, or he's just so flustered and annoyed. Of course, Roman can be naturally annoying at the best times, and so maybe he just couldn't put up with it here, and that's why he slapped him, right? The pressure is so high. The stakes are so high for Logan right now. He's under a lot of stress, and, he just couldn't put up with Roman's kind of annoying take here, and so he slaps him, right? And I think that's exactly what happened here. I don't think Logan, genuinely wanted to slap Roman. If anything, he probably wanted to slap Shiv after what she said. But anyway, so he flew off the hinges. But back to my point here. So, such great development for Roman here. Like, really great development. The past few episodes. And I saw some people complaining about it. Like, why is this guy always an asshole? Like, to everybody. Like, he's kind of a one-note character. All this stuff. Well, have you seen the last few episodes? Like, really, like, the development here has been amazing, showing us exactly why he acts like an asshole all the time. It's because of this, he's just constantly being put down by Logan and humiliated by him, and that's the one thing that he wants, right? He wants Logan to recognize him and give him praise and all this stuff. All the kids want that from the dad, right? Because he's such this big figure, right? Larger than life, and they all look up to him. And so to be humiliated and put down by Logan again and again and again, that's where he kind of lashes out at people and becomes this asshole. Well, he's also just kind of a funny guy, right? His humor's a little dark, and so that comes into it too. But I honestly, like, I have to say, I completely disagree with those people saying it's a one-note character and all this stuff. The development for Roman in the last few episodes, especially this scene right here, encapsulates it all in this one scene where we see exactly why he's like that. And again, a really great scene with Jerry early on in the episode, trying to team up with her because he recognizes his role and the way people see him. And it's terrible for him. So anyways, and honestly, again, you feel bad for him. Like, a lot of these characters are assholes, especially Roman at the best times. But you actually feel bad for him because of a scene like this. Again, just a really, really great way to do this here. So, all right, to end then, everybody attends the Argestes Awards, apparently. So this is like the end of the night, celebration, sending everybody off. So these awards are hosted by a comedian. And this was really interesting. So this comedian gets up on stage, and he starts making jokes about Waystar Royco, right? About the... essentially about the cruise piece, right? About the hit piece. Goes at Logan a little bit, goes about this hit piece, makes some good jokes, some really dark humor jokes, but the crowd, he's still getting some laughs out of them. Anyway, so he kind of keeps going, right? The crowd is laughing, the crowd is loving it, so he just keeps going and going and going, and then he starts talking about the rumors of an acquisition for Waystar Royco, right? And of course, now we know the rumors are kind of circulated, right? And we know that a lot of people probably have a feeling that Pierce is going to get, eaten up by Waystar Royco at this point. So, this is when we kind of zoom in on Nan Pierce, which again, I thought was really great, really well done here because the way we start here with being on Logan and the family at the table, and then we kind of zoom into a different part with Nan at a different table, I thought it was really great. So she starts to get uncomfortable here, and after a few more jokes, she just gets up and leaves. She just leaves the place, which again isn't the best image for her either in this scene, if you really think about it, right? Because even people who don't even necessarily know what the acquisition will be, who are listening to the jokes, all of a sudden Nan just makes a big scene. Everybody looks back. It's the Pierces, right? And so anyway, I just think the optics here look terrible that she just gets up and leaves. But anyways, she's just so uncomfortable that she can't listen to it all. So, of course, Logan follows her out. And he follows her alone, which I thought was a very interesting thing as well. Kendall does not go with him here. And Kendall's actually sitting at a different table anyways. So, I love this scene right before he kind of follows her out, where Stewie says, he stops him and says, it's funny because it's true, right? Like, it's all these things that he's saying is true, and it's hilarious. Anyway, so Stewie's just kind of a dick, but he ends up, like, you gotta give it to him. Like, everything kind of just fell in his lap in this episode. So, you gotta give it to him. Anyways, Logan says, oh, fuck off, right? And then he just walks out. Anyways, so Logan now joined by Rhea. So Rhea comes out after Logan, and they confront Nan outside. Nan says, she essentially tells him that the deal is off, right? First she says, well, I want to think about it more, and then it just goes to, no, we're done, right? The deal is off, essentially, right? So they are done, and not only are they done and that the deal has now fell through, but Rhea, you're fired, right? Like Nan says, you're fired. I want your resignation papers on my desk. And this is a really interesting twist. Obviously, Nan thinks that she negotiated in bad faith, had a meeting with Logan, and, probably ulterior motives to Rhea here. And I will say that this makes a lot of sense, right? I think this Rhea character did seem a little bit too eager about this whole thing. And really, I thought this whole time that we'd find out that she did have ulterior motives. So I think this scene really does that well and really explains that. Because honestly, I thought that was actually maybe a little bit of a problem. And I was probably going to talk about it this episode. Is that why is Rhea so enthusiastic about this? But obviously, I think it's true. She did have ulterior motives. Or she just really wanted the money. One of those things. But obviously, Nan sees that now, and so she fires her. And this was a really, really crazy scene, honestly, shaking up everything that we've come to know in the last 3 episodes. So Logan is just dumbfounded by this and pleads Nan to still think about it, right? Still think about it, like just think about it, right? And all this stuff, and she's just walking away from him now. So he tells her, you are fucking your whole family by not accepting this deal. You will never get another deal like it, which is probably true, right? It is probably true at this point, but Nan is willing to sacrifice $25 billion for the optics and ethics, just overall morality of this, and getting involved with Logan, getting involved with the Roys. She's willing to go out $25 billion, and maybe even her company at the end of the day, to basically kind of go back to her morals and not accept this deal, which is really kind of crazy. Like, really, I mean, a lot of these CEOs, a lot of these businesses, 25 billion, like, that'll sway you, right? And that's what we've kind of seen. That 25 billion swayed the Pierces, even though they, said they were above Logan and above the Roys and all this stuff. Well, they got 25 billion, they took the deal. But now, Nan is saying, no, 25 billion is not enough. No money is enough for this deal. I'm not doing it, right? So he walks up to her car window and, like, bangs on the window, right? Shouts her to stop, right? Stop the car. We're going to talk about this more. And eventually she just drives away and he can't go any further. He just, and I love to see because he's actually, like, running with the car. And this guy's like, he's old, right? Like, and he's just running with the car, trying to bang it on the window and all this stuff. Just a really crazy scene, and the acting here by Brian Cox just off the charts, man. Anyway, so he's left standing there at the entrance now with the entire Pierce deal in shambles as Nan drives away in the car. Wow, right? Wow, what an ending. So much for that heroic scene last episode, right? I mean, all of us, talking about, he saved it, right? And all the characters too, like in the story. He saved it. Logan did it. He made this power move, and now they're right back where they started, right? The whole Pierce deal's gone, and they are vulnerable once again. And you could sense here in this scene that Logan knows how important this was to them, and now he knows that this is the worst case scenario, right? Again, they're vulnerable, and who knows what can happen to Waystar Royco now. Can that takeover deal take place without Pierce now a part of them? I don't know. I mean, this is going to be really interesting, but you can see in Logan's face and just the way he acts about this, like, stop yelling at the car. They needed this. And now it appears as so they lost it. But anyways, that's where the episode ends. Alright, so in terms of a rating for this episode, I'm going to give this one a 4.6 out of 5. Same rating as last episode. Again, I thought the pacing was a little uneven, where I thought in the first few episodes of this season, they really were going at it. Like, a lot of, and even if the pace wasn't as fast or wasn't kind of, everything is happening in every scene, it at least was a little bit more balanced, I thought. That would be one of my complaints for this episode. It's just that pacing, right? The beginning of this episode, and again, you can kind of see that in my recap too, like, a lot of things happened, but nothing really happened, you know what I mean? But again, it all set up for the ending, and that, they did great with that. So I can't say, I'm not, launching a huge criticism at it. I'm just saying, kind of a nitpick actually, but I'm just saying that okay, you could have probably made the pacing a little bit more balanced throughout this one, and show us a little bit more. But anyways, I still really liked the ending for sure, and the tension that was built up in it was just awesome. So I love the setting of the conference for the plot. It was just really great, and setting up this whole thing that they're at this conference and the optics of it, because it would have been different, right? The story comes out, oh, well, they're just sitting up in their penthouse, right? And that's what it is. They don't see the immediate thing of people looking at them weird, of people canceling their appointments, stuff like that, right? But at this conference, they do. And so the setting of it just made, for such a really great episode, and made that kind of plot and the whole thing about the hit piece even more impactful, to this whole thing. So I thought it was really, really great. Again, created a lot of tension and pressure. Not only the setting of it, being at that conference, but also the scenes, right? Setting up, okay, we have 48 hours for this piece. Okay, we have hours. Okay, we have mere minutes. And then it happens, right? Like that breakfast scene, just a really great, and Kendall constantly refreshing his phone. Anyway, so just some really great tension. A lot of focus on Logan in this episode, and this is kind of my prediction. That's kind of way out there, if you will, but my prediction here is it seems like this may break him, and I think that, I don't know, I just think we see throughout the episode that he needs this, like he recognizes that he needs this now, and I'm not sure what's going to happen now without Pierce. So and especially given his whole move last episode in trying to get them, and now they back out. So I'm not sure what's going to happen to Logan, but I just had that feeling that something is up here with Logan, with so much focus on him in this episode, that this may actually break him. This may break Waystar Royco. But who knows where they're going to go. Again, we have 4 more episodes, and I'm looking forward to all of them. I mean, the episode in 2 days from now, I'm really excited for that one to see what they do. So anyways, we'll have to see. I also love the kids' dynamic in this episode. I thought it was probably one of the best episodes for that, with all the kids in one place. The panel scene was just really awesome. Again, a lot of tension there, and just constant fighting and bickering, and back and forth, and just really awesome. Some great performances all around, from Kieran Culkin, Jeremy Strong, and Sarah Snook for sure. So really great stuff. Favorite character for this episode, I don't know how I haven't picked him yet, but I gotta go Tom Wamsgans, of course, played by Matthew McFadden. Really great job in this one. Probably not his best episode to date, of course, but really great. The whole what is it again? We here for you. Anyways, that whole sequence was just so great. And then he also had the kind of storyline with Shiv and him talking to the other woman, and all that stuff. The open relationship idea, Shiv wanting to fight for him and all that stuff. So some really great stuff for Tom, and some really great scenes with Greg in this one again. That duo is simply the best on TV. Sorry, but I have to say it. For me, it definitely is. But anyways, Matthew McFadden's doing an amazing job, as always, and I thought I'd highlight him for this episode. But anyways, that is what do it for my review of Succession Season 2, Episode 6. Thank you guys so much for watching this one, and again, I'd love to hear your guys' thoughts on the episode, and what are some of your predictions going forward for the rest of the season. But again, guys, thanks so much for watching this one, and we'll see you next week, or I guess in a couple days, for Succession Season 2, Episode 7.